This in theory will work. It's going to take a little bit of adjustments, but all I gotta do is get that cart to loop around onto there without breaking everything. Then this guy's just going to roll up behind and touch the flag. The trick really is finding just the right angle to make this thing go far enough. The challenge here apparently is we only have 8 pieces of road, which is only enough to get across the gap so no going over the boat. And this is what we've landed on after much trial and error. The little car gets to go across, no problem. The van gets to stop. Hydraulics work their magic. The boats cruise through, no problem. Our red little van. Finish line. Up 69%, and I just couldn't be prouder. This one, we have to go all the way across using only a rock to balance on, and we're short one road. Luckily, we have a limo that can get across some very small gaps where needed, and then it can make it all the way to the end. The middle is tricky because the limo likes to bounce a lot, and that puts a lot of extra force on an already fragile bridge. But it actually does cruise all the way across, no problem. The trick is making the bumps line up not on the tires. Top 65%, I'm sensing a pattern. Our heavy little ambulance friend needs to get across the gap. We've got to do it with hydraulics because the boat is way too big to go over, while also grabbing the star. The hardest part of this one is the budget. I'm $10 under budget right now, but I think we've got the solution. Boat goes first, so bridge goes up. Even then, it doesn't really clear it by much. That took a little bit of hydraulic placement. Double hydraulic placement at that. Ambulance makes it across, and we get to save whoever's life needs saving. Top 94%. A land brace. I'm not sure how this differs from the original land brace, but we have $8,000 to get this motorcycle to that flag. And that all seems pretty straightforward. As long as all the pressure is sitting against this wall or on the corner, I don't think it's going to be a problem because the motorcycle is very light. I'm very consistently about top 70%, and I'm proud of that. Hydraulic management. The challenge, no hydraulics, which I'm pretty sure is how I beat this the first time. And that basically looked like this. Red car can jump its way up across, only barely, but that doesn't have to look good, it just has to function. Little blue car gets to go across, smash down, doesn't break anything thanks to that little guy. Other blue car, same thing. Perfect. Up 32% on that one. Levels like this generally are my nightmare. I've got $47,000 to get a very heavy school bus all the way across this gap without steel. It wasn't until I remembered I could do this little trick to support the center of the bridge, this all became a lot easier. Because once that's there, the bus just cruises across, no problem. If it wasn't for that knowledge, I would have been there a long time. Level 201, Model T must come back. So the tow truck's going to go over here, and Model T is going to go over, come back, and we don't have to use hydraulics. Correction. We can't use hydraulics. Hydraulics would make this easy. Instead, we use springs. That way, our little green truck can worm its way underneath. Thanks to the springs, this moves out of its way eventually. Don't worry, it'll get there eventually. Once it's free, well, you can pretty much see what happens from here. Our little Model T goes over, zoomy fast, and then right up on there without breaking, thanks to that little spring, we're done. A long drawbridge. Very commonplace in sailing times. The low checkpoint is a challenge because you have to make a very heavy fire truck go all the way down here, then up while letting a boat through. And if this isn't just the most beautiful creation you've ever seen, and believe it or not, it actually works very well. The fire truck scoots its way across. It took a long time just to get to that point, barely picking up the star. The bridge goes just out of the way, as you can see. The wood actually technically goes through it, but we'll pretend it doesn't happen because the game pretends it doesn't happen. And then this van obviously quite easily makes it across at that point. This is a really big unsupported gap because look at that, the challenge, no rock in the middle. I used to have a support right here to help span this entire gap. I've got to go over the boat, all the way down to the star and then back up. Again, let's not get caught up on how this bridge looks, but more on how it performs. Because it performs moderately well. The limo's not super quick, but it is pretty heavy and super annoying to work with just due to its length. It goes down, the G-forces don't break the bridge this time, and hits the flag. Just that easy. Buggy bouncer, we've got $15,000, no springs, and no anchor on balloon. And of course, I can't help but observe the buggy does this. It lands pretty much all the way at the end zone. And I'm pretty sure I did this on the non-challenge version of the level because, obviously, if the car jumps its way 3/4 of the way across the gap, just enable it from there. It's gonna climb right up on there, no problem. Jump on up, done. Only $6,500. Rockin'. Challenge, much bigger rock. So I've got to get a slinky bus that is very, very heavy up and over that. 10 seconds later, we've got ourselves a functional working bridge. It's not pretty, it's not evenly distributed, but it works. That bus barely makes it over that slope. That's fine though, I've got nothing but time. And then once it makes its way over the peak, it's blazing speed from there, smashing into the ground, not breaking my bridge, getting to where it's going. I am $622 under budget, and I'm top 50%. Apparently a lot of people struggle on this level. Roundabout, we get to use a monster truck. Must collect bottom checkpoint first. Last time I probably went up and over and then under. This time I gotta go under then over. And here's my solution. Any good level has its vehicles do a barrel roll first. Vehicle reach flag without touching the checkpoint. That's okay, because we'll get back there again. It just squeezes under this. In hindsight, I could probably lift that up a little bit to let it through, but that doesn't matter because my favorite game ever is the waiting game after all. So it squeezes its way out, touches the thing, the boat obviously clears itself, the monster truck goes up and over, and guess what's gonna happen now? It falls onto the flag and we're done. Upside down ending. Double-decker highway. We have $90,000 to get all these vehicles across to their appropriate flags with absolutely no island in the middle for support. So we're gonna kind of make our own island in a way. Because if we attach a cable to this middle point and a cable over here to this middle point, this is actually a very strong support right in the center of the bridge where we need it most. And then from there, everything gets to where it's going fairly easily. Was a little bit of trial and error to get the weight of this right because these two stack up pretty heavily, but you get the idea. The limo doesn't love the ending either. It crashes down and balances itself. It takes a little while to get there. The level, only 10 road, which is only enough to get across there, so we can't go under it and over. So here's my largely wooden solution to that. We're going to use double hydraulics to lower the bridge the actual length we need, and we're going to hang those hydraulics, that way everything stays perfectly in a line vertically. Which means a blue car scoots across no problem, it's very light. The bridge lowers, gets out of the way of the plane, hooks itself in on either side, the taxi drives basically through the plane, we'll pretend that doesn't happen, bridge goes straight back up, locks back in, blue car does its thing again. That easy, we're $6,000, $5,000 under budget. Anchors away, no static joint on bottom. I don't really remember there being a static joint on bottom before anyway. Maybe this is actually as easy as it looks? I think I see what the challenge is a little bit because the balloon isn't centered in the bridge. If I hook it up to rope, it's going to swing to whatever side is heavier. But let's see what this does here anyways. Right, it's going to flip over. I think I remember this level. So I'm kind of thinking we just brace it to either edge and that way it can't swing one way or the other too far. Okay, probably should have seen that coming. We ran out of budget very quick trying to do this, so here's what I'm thinking. We're going to let this kind of sit on that side and let the bridge swing for a second to see if that's going to work. That might work. Does it balance out the truck though? Nope, not so much. So why don't we change this up and just make it exactly even? Is that going to at least behave better? At least to start? Nope. What about 3 ropes? Does 3 ropes work better? No, well, it swings very evenly. That's very satisfying looking, but it performs very poorly. Well, I found a way to do it. I'm $3,000 over budget, but if I can whittle that down just a little bit, we'll be alright. Maybe even just removing one of the ropes. It definitely took me a while, but I finally found a suitable answer. I just built the road all the way across and braced it on either end on the actual ground itself. $1,000 under budget, very solid bridge. Fork in the road, the challenge added checkpoint. So my little dune buggy has to go through the star, then to the flag. The other one just has to go directly to the flag. Pretty sure I see a pretty obvious answer to this one. First of all, let's just get things up the first ramp. Okay, that's all easy enough except for that part. I prescribe bigger triangles. And alright, now all we gotta do is get the other car up top. Is this gonna work? Is this a bad idea? Not entirely sure what it is I've even built, but let's see if it does anything. Oh. Well, it does something, it's just not very smooth to get the cart up there. I've more or less decided that this design isn't going to work anyway. Mostly because that little step up is just too much, which leaves me with about $13,000 to figure this out. Unless of course I do something like this. This in theory will work, it's going to take a little bit of adjustments, but all I gotta do is get that cart to loop around onto there without breaking everything. Then this guy's just going to roll up behind and touch the flag. The trick really is finding just the right angle to make this thing go far enough. This is actually the closest I've got so far because it flips over at the end. Replacing a piece of wood with some steel gave me the extra length I needed to get to where I was going, so that thing lands, but the bridge breaks. So I gotta figure out the budget and not breaking my bridge. A little bit of steel right here has the bridge not collapsing. Now it's a budget issue. And after replacing a few of the roads with regular roads, we're under budget, but it changed everything. At this point, we're definitely pretty close. We're having very few things actually break. All we need to do is just get that angle right again. 1,000 adjustments later, and we finally have it exactly where I want it. That flips up, stops, doesn't break the bridge. Model T touches down. That took a while, but we got it.